Today we have my cousin, brother Krish, and we're going to discuss about today about CCAK, and we're going to discuss about how CCAK works, and what is the importance of CCAK and why you should do CCAK with InfosecTrain, and why this can be your next career perspective, from the cloud perspective. So, hi Krish.
Hey Prab, hi everyone.
Namaskaram. Sugam.
Namaskaram. Yeah, all good. Sugam.
Okay, so it is good to see your progress. People are keep tagging you for CCSP, AWS security, and I really feel happy as a brother that to see my another brother is basically rising like that. And this is what part of society, right? This is how the technology works. So the glad recently you have also started a new course program which is called CCAK by ISACA and CSA. And I haven't seen anyone in India who teaching that course. And on the papers, it is like 16, 18 hours. Why the hell you're teaching for 32 hours?
So the first thing is that Prab, like you said, you told me that there is a lot of people tagging me on CCSP or other things. The reason is because normally what people basically do is that people always think about the exam, passing the exam, and just nothing more. But in reality, when you go for the industry, certification is very critical. But exactly as a part of certification, you must have the right skills as a part of it. That is the most important thing. When you go for CCAK also, the one I see is that if you simply just go through the curriculum for just passing the exam, it will never help you anything in the career.
But what is CCAK? Can you just give this small information to our
That's the first thing.
viewers?
So the CCAK stands for Certificate of Cloud Audit Knowledge. The major difference is that it's a certificate, not a certification. Normally, what we do is that when you go for a CCSP or CISSP extra, it's a certification where you have to renew and you have to maintain the CPs, a lot of concerns like that. But if you go for CCAK, it's a certificate program which is offered by two organizations called as a ISACA and the CSA, the Cloud Security Alliance. So obviously, CCAK is one of the industry's first credential which is offering specifically for cloud auditing. Like if you want to just showcase your skills on cloud specific auditing or cloud security assessment, etc., this is the best and the first industry certification or certificate we can go for that.
Excellent. So when you're talking about the CCAK perspective and all that, why there is a need for this course? Why should the person go for the certification when we already have a CISA, when we already have ISO 27001 and all that?
See, the first thing is that now every people who is actually coming to me for a career guidance or asking about questions regarding, like whether I go for any other certification or what do I learn and all. See, everybody is saying the first thing is that their company is moving to cloud. As per the Gartner report, and if you see that 80% organizations are currently in cloud, and basically a lot of companies are still moving to cloud and adopting cloud technologies. And obviously, when these companies are moving to cloud and adopting cloud technologies, they need to have a visibility. They need to have an assurance regarding what is happening to their data, what is happening to their infrastructure, what is happening to the information they are storing in this third party. And that is the first major reason why there is a certain need of a certificate program called as a CCAK. Like, for example, now there is a company who is basically moving to cloud platform or who is in cloud platform. And if they don't have an understanding of what is happening in the cloud and what about their data in the cloud, what about their applications in the cloud, how do they get an assurance? There is a word called as trust, transparency, and assurance. These three factors, if you want to get, there must be a visibility, and that visibility you can get only via auditing. And that is a major reason why we have to go for CCAK. And second most important point you asked me, Krish, we already have a ISO 27001. We have a CISA. Then why we have to go for CCAK? So this CISA or ISO 27001 and all these kind of things are designed as a legacy standard for a quite long time. And these are there for the on-premises primarily. Like, for example, if you take an example of ISO 27001, that is basically designed for on-premises in mind, because that is designed with the on-premises controls and how we can basically assure the security of the on-premises infrastructure. But when you go to the cloud platform, you are completely adding a lot more risk to that. Like, for example, when you go to the cloud, you have a massive number of risks you're adding. Like, you have a lack of visibility, you have a third party called as a cloud service provider, you have a location assurance, there's no location assurance, multi-tenancy issue. Like this, you have a lot of challenges. And that gap is what specifically we are addressing in CCAK. It's not another certification which is completely teaching you about the auditing from the scratch or assurance from the scratch. This is
Hmm.
something which is specifically focusing on cloud computing to bridge your gap. If you are a person who is a information security manager, information security governance person,
Hmm.
auditor, information security auditor, or you are in charge of the cloud security operations in the company, then if you want to bridge your gap between your on-premises knowledge and cloud assurance and auditing knowledge, then this is the particular program specifically designed for you.
Okay. And what we cover in this course?
See, actually, this is actually, means I feel this is really interesting to discuss actually because it covers contains a lot of modules, nearly more than 9+ modules they having. And
Hmm.
what we do is that in each module, like starting from the cloud compliance, we talk about the cloud compliance first. Then
Hmm.
we talk about the cloud governance, cloud compliance program. Then we talk about the cloud auditing. Then we talk about the threats in cloud computing specifically and what are the controls we have to address that. Then we
Hmm.
talk about the programs like the using the templates like CCM, the CAIQ things, then the STAR certification. So it covers in a very comprehensive step-by-step way regarding how
Hmm.
to start a governance in the cloud platform. What point you will get the visibility? What is the blind spot in the cloud? How to address that
Hmm.
governance challenge in the cloud specifically.
Hmm.
Then we'll
Hmm.
go to cloud compliance program. So basically, when talking about compliance, we all know in the on-premises how this can be a bigger challenge for us. But in the cloud, it becomes even more complicating. That specific concerns, how do we address? Then, when talking about auditing in the cloud, we know that completely. If you are a customer, it is completely never possible for you to audit the cloud from the scratch because at the end of the day, it's a third-party premises we are having there.
True.
So we have to understand how to build an audit program for the cloud platform and what is shared responsibility model and what is the difference between assurance or what is the difference between assessment and auditing
Hmm.
and what we can do in the cloud platform with some practical templates or examples on how to build a proper RACI metrics or RACI metrics on that. Then how can the CCM program given by the CSA will help for that process? This is the way the program works. And like just answering the first question you asked me in the session that why we take this for 32 hours nearly. The reason is because when you go for a CCAK, it's actually, this is meant for 24 hours, but you normally in every session, it'll go up to 32 hours. The reason is because see, it's not like just learning about that concepts like that. We have to know how to do this in real time. That is why I have integrated some more additional things on this course, like how this, whatever you're learning in CCAK, how this is applied in real time. Let's suppose your company is going for a vendor called as AWS or Azure or GCP, any vendor. How do you basically map it to them? What are the, like, how do you build a proper audit report on the same? What are the,
Hmm.
what checklist? How do you make a checklist? What are the inputs you can get from where you can get the inputs? All these things are also we are discussing. That's why it takes nearly 24 to 32 hours near on the whole session.
Excellent. So, what are the content? Like, as I said, you talk about the content and all that. So, how you drive this? So, what is the ideal audience for this particular certification?
So for this particular program, what I recommend is that the person must be, if the person have a audit background or a assurance background, that definitely will help a lot. But it's not a
Hmm.
mandatory thing. Like for example, if you are a person who is driving a company's cloud governance process, or you are in charge of a whole cloud assurance process in the company, you can join this course. Also,
Okay.
like for example, if you are a ISO 27001 auditor, you
Hmm.
want to basically bridge your gap between what I am auditing in the on-premise versus the cloud platform, this is something which is for you. So it is
Okay.
for everyone who is actually in cloud governance, cloud compliance, information security auditing, or those who have a background of CISA,
Hmm.
or those who are already working in some cloud platforms but want to upgrade their skills to assess a cloud platform
Hmm.
formally for an internal audit process and all. For all
Hmm.
these things, definitely the CCA can help for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how you drive this training about normally what happens when it comes to CISSP, CCSP, CCAK, we have a slide, we have a content and all that. So, how the student get the benefit from this particular training? Like, what is the approach of this training?
So as I said before, when we talk about this training, definitely here also we use slides for sure. But because
Hmm.
it's not only about the slides and simply repeating the words in the slide. Instead of that, we just explain the whole concepts from the scratch. Like for example, first of all, we discuss about the cloud governance.
Hmm.
So when talking about cloud governance, is simply not about the slides. We discuss them about the shared responsibility model. We will make them understand regarding, let's suppose we take a particular cloud service, how this service can be, how do you understand what is your responsibility in that, what is a
Hmm.
provider's responsibility there, and how can we basically have an assurance over the cloud governance when you go to the cloud platform, because in the cloud platform governance sometimes is defined by the cloud service provider. So how do
Hmm.
you ensure that it's aligned with your business requirements?
Okay.
And even then we'll show them the examples of templates, like what is a RACI metrics, how do you make a
Mm,
proper RACI metrics based on the cloud strategy instead of on
mm,
premises, and
mm,
how do you basically have a cloud policy there, and how this
mm,
cloud policy can be customized for your business requirements. So
mm.
this is what we do. So we have a combination of a slides, plus we basically build some templates and sample documents which will help them to do the real time process.
Okay.
Plus I'll explain them my experience which I have faced.
So are you going to cover any case study also in this?
Indeed, for sure, because that is something
Okay.
which is very important for each domain. We will
Mm,
actually discuss about some case studies, like regarding some use case and case studies for which I have experienced or which I have seen in the industry regarding how this auditing is done.
mm.
What were the blind spots which caused many challenges for many companies? So how do we basically address those challenges? Definitely, yes, that is also covered as a part of this.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
it's
my
it's actually one more thing to add is that instead of this training is driven as a simply just a speaker is I'm just saying something and the audience is listening to it. It's like
mm,
we have definitely the participants we get is definitely having a lot of questions they have to ask. So I
mm.
consolidate the questions, and we always spend nearly 1 to 2 hours of time for that particular discussion, which is that is what we really want, right? Because the participants have a lot of queries regarding what exactly they have to do in their scenario, what they are facing. So based on my understanding, we will discuss all these things, and that sometimes go further. That's the reason why it goes beyond 32 hours actually.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that point because sometimes what happen when you're talking about the perspective about course and all that, there's always a dilemma that how things works and all
Mm.
that. So it is good that you bring that parameter and you bringing that perspective about how to integrate the things. So
Yes.
and do you share any practice questions and all that to get the visibility about the things and all that? So
Definitely, yes. So basically, this exam is actually very simple exam. It's definitely an online proctored exam. Like many people think that. So as it is a certificate program like CCSK is a non-proctored exam, but CCAK is a proctored exam where you have to write the exam like you write a certification exam. So obviously, it contains 76 questions actually,
mm,
and the passing score is 70%. So what we do is that even though there is no lot of questions available in the market, I have prepared a set of questions which is basically I feel that which is very important for the exam. Like it's more
mm,
customized for
okay,
definitely for helping them to understand the exam perspective and how the like it can be done and all.
okay,
and
that's great. Yeah.
and one more thing I want to add is that when I wrote my exam on CCAK, like I just was a bit concerned because there was no much questions available in the internet. But
Mm,
it is like you don't have to worry about the questions a lot in CCAK. It's about your understanding perspectives. If you get if you review the proper study material properly, plus if you properly listen to each lectures and make proper notes on that, itself will be able to make you pass the exam properly. And the practice questions are just a bonus for them to have more confidence. That's it.
oh, that's great. That's a very good important point you have shared.
Mm.
And so my another important point which I would like to discuss here is what is the like additional value the participant get when he attend this training program?
That's a very important question. This is something which many people ask when I teach them CISSP or CCSP or AWS or anything like that. What is the
Mm,
benefit they get? Specifically for CCAK, also they definitely ask that. See, now certification or certificate is something which is very important for them to prove their knowledge. Like it's a document. Like when you go for a CCAK, CCAK is quite new certificate program which is released by ISACA and CSA. So obviously, if you're an auditor or if you're a person who is already having a cloud background, and if you want to prove your cloud specific skills, that you have done a cloud specific knowledge, if you want to prove your uh, you know skill set, initially definitely a certificate is mandatory. Like if I am talking to you now and basically if I don't have the CCK, how can I talk to you like that? Like the
mm.
same way, when I basically go for an organization, this is something which is definitely going to stand out for sure. It will help you to make sure that okay, this guy is actually having a proper met the proper requirements to understand the cloud concepts and what is that particular bridge gap that's we'll do in the training.
So that is a very good point that you have said, and how easy is this exam? Like, is it easy or?
Definitely, like when you basically go for CCSP, you have to learn a lot of concepts, lot of
Mm,
concepts. And I know that we make a lot of videos on that. It's a lot of things, but here I don't think there's a lot of things to learn. It's not about
mm,
massive set of things to learn. We have a few areas which we have to focus, and if they have the proper path and knowledge on that and the thought process, obviously they will definitely be able to crack the exam. I don't find people fail this exam frequently, because this is not so tough exam like we do other exams we have in the market. This is quite easy. Only thing is that you must have an understanding and perspective. Like for example, when talking about assurance or when talking about auditing, there are certain areas we must have a proper understanding regarding the SLAs, regarding the contractual agreements, regarding the governance documents, regarding the shared responsibility model. If they have a proper understanding of all these concepts we are discussing, the exam is going to be quite easy for sure. Like
okay.
when I wrote my exam, I was also a bit prejudiced regarding it's a new exam and how it could be, but I was able to finish the exam very quickly, and it was not at all a complicated thing, because everything is on the points they have mentioned in the
Mm.
exam, and I mean the textbook and all that. It's so easy.
That's very good point that you have raised.
Yep.
And when it comes to the requirement of um the preparation level, apart from the having a GRC, does the person need to have a basic cloud knowledge about that?
It is better, like I strongly recommend the person to have a very fundamental understanding of cloud computing. It's not like they
Mm,
have to master a cloud computing, or like they have to learn all the security aspects of it, but it's better that they have a background in cloud computing, like maybe at least they have attended a course on AWS cloud practitioner or Azure fundamentals or something. If they have a cloud background, that definitely will help. It can be any cloud platform, but just a background they are having will definitely change the perspective, and they can ask more doubts to me. That's a benefit they get. We have a lot of LMS for the learning management program, self management program for this cloud fundamentals. They can also enroll for that if there is no, like they don't have a background on that.
okay, so the benefit of attending our training is basically you get a access to the
Like,
LMS.
like we can
That's
get
great.
given access to the one LMS program also, if just in case if there is a glitch happens on
Okay,
that.
so can you just quickly walk through me the slides or how you basically drive these trainings and all that on a high level with the
Yeah,
references?
definitely. Like, if you can share that screen, your screen, and share the slides, it's better. And Prab, while you're sharing this document, just to add one more thing I wanted to just add is that, like many people ask me, Krish, I'm having a CISA background or I'm having a ISO background. Is it good to go for CCAK? I strongly recommend anyone who is having an ISO background or CISA background to go for CCAK, because that definitely is basically a addition to what they have learned in CISA or ISO. Because now you
Mm,
learn whatever in ISO, it will definitely help you to map exactly to what you have learned with the cloud platforms. Like that is something, it's a complete specific add-on on
okay.
this thing. Definitely, it's a good thing for sure.
No, good to see that you have added the this I slides,
Mhm.
discussing on the providers, then past responsibilities. I think this is a customized one. Then you talk about SaaS. Okay,
Exactly.
that's really great. And then you talk about the overall programs.
See, this is one major slide. This is one slide I take a lot of time
Mm.
when I discuss, because when
And
you're
then we
talking.
have a RACI matrix.
Definitely, exactly. Because and I also give them some templates on the same as well to build it
Mm,
actually in real time.
mm.
Because
And
when you
this
go
is
to.
also, yeah,
Uh-huh.
go ahead, sorry.
No, no, please.
No, when you're talking about this element of trust that you're talking about assurance, transparency, accountability, I really like this one of the slide and you have this transparency category and all that.
Okay.
And
Because
that is a very good approach, yeah.
when you say transparency, right,
Mm,
there are many ways you can have a transparency for a vendor. Like for
mm,
example, see, at the end of the day, my concern is about my organization where I'm working,
mm,
and when I
mm,
go to a cloud platform, I cannot basically compromise any factor on that. And
mm,
that's the reason why we have to specifically understand what exactly kind of transparency we are having, how this can basically ensure that my business data is safe there. I
mm,
want to have an assurance, right? So
mm.
trust, transparency, and assurance is three building blocks we must have for governance.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And one more important thing, one more important element I like about here, the compliance interface and all that. Do you wish to share some area information on this
this is
section?
this is really interesting. There is a this is an area called as a compliance inheritance, because many people ask me, so Krish, my cloud service, because my company is actually, let's suppose that my company has to comply with the PCI DSS, or my company has to comply with the HIPAA. So when you go to a cloud platform, if the cloud service provider becomes compliant, is that fine for me, or do I have to get the compliance? As we know, in the cloud platform, when you go for compliance is always responsibility of the cloud service customer or cloud service consumer.
Agree.
But the
Agree.
problem is that, let's suppose if you take the example of a PCDSS 12 controls, in
Mm.
PCDSS 12 controls, it's never possible for a customer only to basically take care of all those things in the cloud platform. So if the cloud service provider is already certified, or if the cloud service provider is already meeting those areas which are in his scope, so when, and basically he got certified on that, when we apply for the compliance, we can skip this area. And basically what happens, as the provider is already compliant, or rather as the provider is already certified, we can just skip the compliance part, and we can go for those areas only which is applicable for us. And that is basically one major thing when talking about compliance inheritance. Actually, it's actually, there is a it's also called as pass-through audit. That means
Mm.
that we can skip that particular areas which can be only done by the provider because he's already certified. When we apply for the compliance, we only have to mention about those areas which we must be taking care, and rest of the areas which, because the provider is already compliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about this slide, how you take this slide? You take as a reference or case study? What exactly?
Definitely, this must be explained as a case study only, because like I said, when I take the example of a PCDSS or HIPAA, I show
Mm.
them the document which is basically with a cloud service provider, maybe AWS or Azure or some
Mm.
cloud. So we will take a random document from them there,
Mm.
specific to the compliance. I'll explain them what all things, what we can basically control, we can basically apply for compliance, and what areas, how, why it's a blind spot for us, why the cloud service provider has to take care of certain things. So definitely we will use a case study from a cloud service provider. That makes more visibility, because tomorrow if your company is also going to a cloud service provider, definitely there must be some specific documents you have to ask the cloud service provider to prove his compliance area, so that we can apply for the compliance more easily.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, do you have any last point to share about for the participants?
Definitely.
Why they should join this training?
Definitely. See, there are two, three reasons actually. One is basically, if you want to have a complete understanding of your, if you have to how to identify or where to start, and how to start your proper cloud compliance and cloud assurance and audit program, this is the best and the perfect starting point for you to go for CCAK. And one benefit you get from InfosecTrain specifically is that when you go for this particular CCAK, it's not simply about just walking through the slides and passing the exam. It's
Mm.
about making sure that you get a complete understanding of what it is done in real time, and also how it can be, probably your screen shared. So
Mm.
what we're basically doing in real time, and how this particular things apply in real time. That's the first thing. Then I also basically show them as an add-on. I'll show them how to do a sample cloud auditing with some specific proper cloud audit document, like how do we make a proper audit report, and all these
Mm.
things. What are the whole audit process step by step it is done? All these things we'll discuss, and definitely that is something I guess you will get only from people who is working in industry like us.
So guys, what are you waiting for? If you're looking for the same course, you can basically have a free call with Mr. Krish as instructor, and you can clear your doubts. And if you're looking for a career in cloud audits and want to improve your skills on the cloud audit, do join our upcoming training program with InfosecTrain. This
And
is all
team,
from our side. Yeah.
yeah, then team, there's one more thing to add. So if you have any queries or any concerns or any questions regarding this, cloud trainings or anything regarding, if you want to have a guidance on how to start your career in cloud computing, etc., feel free to contact us, and you can have a call with me, and we can definitely discuss regarding the same. Because it's not like it's not all it's the same shoe fit for all. We have to make sure that we have to have a customized plan for you. Definitely, yes, we can do that. Pingers, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, team. And if you're new to the channel, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss the future videos on a similar topic. Good day. Bye.
Bye bye.